But Ms. Minister Sachs was first elected as the Member of Parliament for York Centre in 2020. She previously served as Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development before being named Canada's Minister of Mental Health and Addictions and Associate Minister of Health in July of 2023. Minister Sachs is a long-term community advocate, and you spend a few minutes talking to her, you'll realize that is so true. She's always been there for community. And she was a leader and is a leader focused on promoting health and addressing inequalities in society. She's held advisory roles in policy, communications, and project management. And she previously worked, and I learned this last night, in the office of the Mayor of Jerusalem on the Israeli-Palestine peace process. Before entering politics, Minister Sachs was a successful business owner and director of a trauma practice for healthy communities, a Toronto-based mental health charity working for better access to mental health services. Minister Sachs, I'll conclude by saying that thank you for your leadership. Thank you for not just listening, but working with my team and myself and my community. It means a lot that you're here. It means a lot that you heard what we had to say, and I'm so appreciative and so full of gratitude that you're here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Sachs.
I'm so excited to be here at Undercurrent Youth Society, and thank you for hosting us. And just a special shout out to Jan and Paul from Planet Youth from Iceland who are here with us. Because when we do this knowledge exchange, this sharing of what matters most to us, which is really in community that the kids are all right. When we do that work together, the power of it is exponential. Because we're not just meeting kids where they're at in incredible spaces like this, but we're impacting their families. We're creating new pathways for our kids so that they make better choices. And when they make those choices, better choices, those healthier choices, because they've been supported, because they've been seen, because they are celebrated for who they are, but also understanding really where they live in community and what they need, that investment comes back into community time and again. The kids not only will be all right, but they'll also come home. And I know in places like Nova Scotia, that really, really matters because young people leave and we want them to come back and we want them to invest in this place. And we want to know that if we build a foundation that is positive for them, that they're invested in and connected to in a healthy way, then the community benefits as a whole. Vous offrez votre Undercurrent, vous offrez un espace sécuritaire à tant de jeunes de la communauté. Et je tiens à vous remercier pour l'important travail que vous accomplissez ici. It's because of organizations like yours and many across the country that young people can count on us and on expert support and caring and compassion and amazing dedicated professionals in their own communities who meet them where they're at. And this work is essential. I'm a single mom to 2 teenage daughters, and I know how important this work is. Because when we recognize that more than ever before, our young people need safe places where they feel that they belong. In a world where they are connected to the internet, they are disconnected from so much. And places like this create that connection, which is a healthy pathway forward. And I think most Canadians, certainly most Canadian parents, would agree that the past few years have been tough, really hard, especially on our young people. And we talk about youth mental health a lot. And we know that even before the pandemic, youth mental health was in decline. COVID-19 exacerbated that. It really shone a light on it. But the isolation that came from COVID and the uncertainty of that time period made it worse for so many. We talk about anxiety with our kids a lot right now. And the stress of that and that being that place of anxiousness on so many things, whether it's climate change, global unrest, affordability, and the pressures of school and work, and so many things that our kids are confronted with today, it can really take a heavy toll on them. And when we look at a young person's mental health, what do we do to give them that stable foundation so that they don't turn to substance use as a way to cope, so that they turn to healthy options and spaces and interactions that really lift them up. And when you look at the world outside, when you factor in the toxic illegal drug supply in our communities and the overdose crisis that we're seeing and facing as a country, and I meet with families and communities on this every day. It's heartbreaking. The stakes have never been higher than they are now in getting our youth to a good place. Il s'agit d'une situation urgente et nous devons intervenir rapidement. It means that we got to move fast. We need to reach out to our young people who are struggling with targeted support in their communities that is led by them, that is advocated for by them, and is built by them with all of the amazing people and community like you. Because when we address the root causes of youth substance use, then we're able to prevent the harms that might come with it. Because when we look at the beginning point, at that upstream preventative point, that's when we know we can start to steer our kids to a brighter and better future. I often say it takes a village. It takes a village of people and dedicated community members to do this work. And sometimes the village is bigger than we realize. It includes Iceland and Planet Youth and many, many other villages across the globe and in our communities across Canada to make this work happen. And that's why we partner across the country to ensure that young people across Canada have access to the mental health and substance use supports that they need, really no matter where they live. Canada is a huge and amazing country, but getting to remote and rural communities, getting to communities like right here in Glace Bay, it takes work, it takes effort, it takes time, and it takes advocacy, and it takes champions. And so many of you in this room are champions for that work for our young people, because you're meeting them where they're at, but you also see them. Governments, I say this all the time, governments are meant to invest in people. That is what we are supposed to be doing. And investing in our young people is really the best investments that we could be making. It really is. And the 3.1 million that we're announcing today includes 868,000 for 7 projects across British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and right here in Nova Scotia. This funding will support community-based projects to implement and adapt what's known as the Icelandic prevention model in the Canadian context. The Undercurrent Youth Society, for example, where we are today in this incredible, amazing space, is receiving more than $124,000 for its project to put the Icelandic model to work right here in Glace Bay and New Waterford. So if you're like me or you're like Mike, you might have heard of the Icelandic model. But if you haven't, this model is based on the fundamental principle that prevention efforts should be focused on building strong and healthy communities to support the success of young people. Each of the projects being funded today will build community coalitions with representation from First Nations, from schools, from service providers, community leaders, and most importantly, young people with lived and living experience, because your story is part of our story of how we do this right. Because we know when it's collaborative, when we know it's community driven, we know these are the approaches that will work best for our young people in community, because we want to meet you where you are so that you can drive the bus on where you want to go. I'm also pleased to announce that Renison University College in Waterloo will be receiving $2.25 million to lead a new knowledge development and exchange hub for youth substance use prevention, because without the research, without the data, and I'm a bit of a data geek, we know that the bus is driving well, so that we can adjust, so that we can improve, that we can really be nimble and flexible, so that we're meeting the moment with our young people, not just in this generation, but in generations to come. This hub will help us take our efforts to the next level. It will guide the implementation of the Icelandic model in Canada and be a leader in what is community practice, making sure that we're facilitating and sharing information and best practices across the country, and consolidating and evaluating these results so that we know that we really have a pan-Canadian system that works in every region, in every community across the country from coast to coast to coast. So, Mike, to the people of Glace Bay, to Undercurrent Youth Society, and to so many of you from Planet Youth and who are here, to the young people, you're doing all right, but you're going to do great, because we know with investments like this that we're making the investments in you for your future. And we're just really excited to be partners with you in this work as we build our young people towards a stronger Canada. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Minister Sachs. For the announcement across the country and the announcement that is made here that impacts the CBRM. If I'm not mistaken, we are the one in Atlantic Canada, I think, that was highlighted. So in Cape Breton, we can achieve a lot of great things when we work together. I think this is evident of that. And I also think too, the work that we're going to do is exciting with Planet Youth and other groups, New Dawn and other youth centers under the leadership of those that are in the room today. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Trevor, and while he's coming up, just a couple of things. Trevor, his family, the people that work here, that volunteer here, that use this facility have been so instrumental in youth development and so important to not just Glace Bay, but the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, because they have a footprint in just a few communities here. And it's important work. Thank you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure to work with you. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to many years to come. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor.
All right, I'm going to warn you out of the gate. I'm a crier, so this may or may not go well. Thank you and a warm welcome to Minister Sachs. Here I go already. MP Kellaway, Paul Ricardson, Jan Sigfridson of Planet Youth, and distinguished guests from across Unamaki. Thank you for all being here today and to celebrate this monumental and profound announcement for the Youth Substance Use Program. Prevention program. My name is Trevor Den Hartog. Say it with me twice, Mike. My name is Trevor Den Hartog, and I am the interim executive director of Undercurrent Youth Society. I am both honored and humbled to be standing here before you representing Glace Bay, New Waterford, and the surrounding areas of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. As Undercurrent Youth Society embarks upon this incredible and transformational journey towards our youth experiencing a life free from the impact of addiction that has so devastatingly affected our communities for decades and multiple generations. This infusion of funding for the Youth Substance Use Prevention Program, and specifically the Iceland Prevention Model in Glace Bay and New Waterford, will bolster community resilience by equipping our children and our youth with effective strategies, vital resources, and support systems to navigate the current challenges they face, ultimately aligning with our mission to inspire hope for a brighter future. As we have behind us, it's our mantra here, inspiring hope. The Iceland Prevention Model is not just a strategy. It's a commitment to fostering healthy lifestyles, positive relationships, and meaningful opportunities for our youth. By providing structured and data-supported activities, enhancing greater parental and caregiver involvement, collaborating with our schools and educators, and reducing the prevalence of risky behaviors, we aim to create a nurturing and safe environment in which our children and youth can thrive. The current evolving landscape of Glace Bay and New Waterford social issues necessitates a paradigm shift in our approach. And the traditional methods of community support, while invaluable, require augmentation to address the root causes of addiction, mental health decline, and social disintegration effectively. The implementation of the Iceland Prevention Model in Glace Bay and New Waterford, in partnership with the Department of Mental Health and Addictions and Planet Youth, signifies a groundbreaking step towards holistic community rehabilitation. And by focusing on primary prevention and the cultivation of a support social environment, this initiative aims to alter the trajectory of our youth's future, steering them away from substance use and mental health challenges and towards a path of health, empowerment, and success. So I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our partners and stakeholders and to all who have supported us along this path to this announcement today. Our MP, Mike Kellaway, thank you. To our MLA, John White, who is working today in Halifax, thank you. To New Dawn Enterprises, their CEO, Erica Shea, and their Director of Development, Elise McLean, thank you. And to our counselor, Ken Tracy, thank you for your continued support. And lastly, but most importantly, to our incredible staff and team of volunteers and our community members that are the lifeblood of Undercurrent. This initiative will only work with you and because of you. So thank you all again for joining us today as we embark upon this transformative journey. Undercurrent Youth Society exists to inspire hope into the lives of children and youth. And now together, we can begin to create the conditions wherein every child within our reach will have every opportunity to succeed and live in freedom from poverty, addiction, and hopelessness so that they may achieve their full potential. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And it is now my privilege to introduce you to my new best friend, whom I already love after only less than 24 hours. I would like to introduce you to Paul Ricardson, CEO.
Wow, that was quite an introduction. Thanks, Trevor. Mr. Sachs, dear guests, I'm just thrilled to be here. I mean, having this opportunity to talk about what's important to all of us, our kids, you know, and their future. You know, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to do that. And we always hear a lot about the problems. And I mean, we go to a lot of conferences and meetings and we read in the media, always the problems that are being emphasized. It's the scope of the problems, the size of the problems, how to measure the problems, the diffusion of the problems. But the Icelandic prevention model, I think the reason it has kind of acquired this following is it offers a solution. It's a positive message. It's about engaging, empowering communities to create the environment around the kids that enable them to live to their fullest potential. And that's what kind of has resonated around the world. Planet Youth is an employee-owned organization. We have dedicated our lives to exporting basically the Icelandic prevention model to now 18 countries. Have 49 partners, hundreds and hundreds of communities. I think millions of kids that we reach, and it's all about adapting the model. Now we don't export what was done in Iceland. That's impossible. But it's about adapting a model, a way of thinking, a way of looking upstream to prevent problems from happening before they become problems. That's how you work with it. And it's about, like Minister Sachs said, like Trevor said, it's about community engagement. It's not about teaching the kids to say no, because that really does not work. It's about creating the environment around the kids. It's about parental involvement. It's about getting the kids to engage in meaningful activities. It's about science and evidence. It's about having data to monitor and measure the success of what we are doing. It's about having a structure. That's what the Icelandic prevention model is all about. But maybe at the end of the day, we travel a lot. And as you can see, airline food does not agree with me. But everywhere we go, from like South Africa to Australia, to Latin America, Chile, Europe, Finland, wherever, we always meet parents and government officials and other stakeholders that just want the best for the kids. It's that fundamental force that the Icelandic prevention model rests on. We want to create a better future for the kids. So I think, I'm not Hugh Grant, as you can see, but the Icelandic prevention is about love, actually. It's about love. It's about creating that space, that environment that enables our kids to grow to their full potential. We started planning this in Canada, I think, is it 2 years now? And we work in a lot of different environments, and the Canadian one was new to us. And I have to say this about you Canadians, you really know how to plan and build consensus and, you know, agree on things before you kick it off. But now you definitely have kicked it off. And like this visionary political leadership, this access to resources are going to make it possible for more and more communities and organizations like the Undercurrent Society to adapt this model and make it a success. In Canada now, there are 14 different partners. So out of the 49 that we have, 14 different partners in Canada. So it's the fastest growing adopter of the Icelandic prevention model of all the countries that we are in around the world. So again, it's quite an honor to be here, and I'm kind of humbled, and we are humbled by this adoption, this spirit of implementing and adapting the Icelandic prevention model. And us at Planet Youth are really looking forward to working with you to ensure a brighter and healthier future for our children and for your children. So thank you very much.